there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for an edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my week of comics. Well, originally I thought that, of course, this is late. You know, should have had it out a day or two ago. Anyway, originally thought, well, I'm not going to have a whole lot to talk about this week about what's going on other than comic book roundtable stuff. But a lot of stuff has happened since then that I'm excited about and want to talk about. But first, we'll talk about comic book roundtable. Get that out of the way right away. Comic Book Roundtable this week is going to be on Friday. Same time, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern-ish time. Of course, we never start then, but that's the time I always throw out there that we're going to start. This Friday, I got stuff going on Saturday, so instead of just not doing it at all, because I didn't talk comics last week at all. It kind of sucked not talking comics. So, I'm going to talk comics this Friday instead of Saturday. As of right now, I think Mike, Sergeant America, is the only person who's confirmed that they're going to be on. So it may just be the two of us talking about books. Not sure how many of my books I'll have read, because of course I get my books on Friday. So we'll see how that all goes. Anyway, hopefully you all had a great start to your new year, 2015. I'm still working on collecting my comics up for 2014 to kind of show off what I got for the year and that sort of thing. The other people in my house that read the comics are still well behind. I'm waiting for them to get caught up so I at least have one or two of the titles of those books in hand to talk about that. So I hope to have that done by the end of the month sometime. I've got to get together with some of my cohorts. Hopefully the third week of January, sometime around in there, one of those days, we'll have a comic book parfait. That's our kind of, you know, book club, comic book kind of a show. Hope to do that. Get that going again this year. Let's see, what else? Oh, of course, I did a, my last What the Fugue that I did was actually on New Year's Eve. I did it as a live hangout. I didn't think anybody would even be around to watch it. Quite a few of you watched it. I appreciate it for those of you who watched it live. But I don't know what happened, but it got lots of views. I have no idea why. All I did was show some of the stuff I got from over Christmas, and I just kind of talked about the books for the prior week that I didn't get a chance to talk about. And somehow I got over 1,000 views on it, which is crazy. I don't know how many views you get on your videos, but I don't ever get that many. So I don't know what happened there. Whatever the reason for it is, awesome. That's pretty exciting. To the point where actually YouTube actually sends me an email saying, hey, you got over 1,000 votes. I'm over 1,000 views. I don't know if that's because they really want me to monetize my videos, because now I'm a big shot because I got over 1,000 views on a single video. I have no idea. Not that any of my other videos ever get those kinds of views. So there must have just been a lot of really lonely people on New Year's Eve, and somehow they landed on my channel. But I mean, in less than 24 hours, I had, you know, 900 and some views. Anyway, crazy stuff. Exciting, cool, great way for me to start my New Year's out, I guess. New Year 2015 out. Anyway, things I was going to talk about. G. Willow Wilson, the writer of Ms. Marvel that we're all loving and talking great things about and whatnot, she is now signed exclusive with Marvel. Of course, right now she's also currently writing 4 issues of X-Men, the unadjective X-Men, and she has said that after she's done with that she's got a new book that's coming out. One of the things I'm interested in is she says that if you like the X-Men that she's writing about now, you'll love the new book. So it's going to be some sort of an X book. So that's curious in this whole sense that we feel like Marvel is reducing the amount that they're using some of the X-Men and stuff, and putting out more Inhuman stuff, because the whole movie thing, the fact that Fox owns the rights to the X-Men stuff and the whole mutant, anytime they bring out mutants, then then Fox has the ability to have ownership and use of those characters, it sounds like, from what seems to be our understanding of how all those contracts and deals read. So that's interesting that she's going to have a whole new book. that's going to be, you know, X-Men based and whatnot. I may give that a try, see what that's going to be like. I've liked her stuff so far. Those of us who were hoping that maybe DC would kind of win her back at some point, and it maybe not, clearly not exclusive because DC hardly does exclusives anymore, it seems like. At least get her to write maybe some other DC books and have some excitement there, that maybe she could work her magic again. Does not seem to be the case. So, anyway, clearly exclusive with Marvel gives her some leverage or options that she was excited about. Otherwise, she wouldn't have done that. But great for her, and hopefully great for us. Hopefully that signing exclusive means she's going to do a larger body of work, and hopefully it is all as cool as what Ms. Marvel has been. We'll see. Let's see, along those same lines, some of all this stuff, you know, because Charles Soule had signed an exclusive a few months ago. We've now heard there's going to be an Uncanny, because they don't use Uncanny enough at Marvel, Uncanny Inhumans, starring Black Bolt, we know that for sure. So that'll be curious to see what that's like, because of course that brings us back to the whole, they're making more Inhuman stuff, to not have to worry about the mutant stuff and the X-Men stuff. And using the uncanny adjective is pretty interesting. What little bit I've seen of either Charles Soule or Marvel talking about it, they kind of blew off the whole using the uncanny adjective, because they're like, well, it's been used before, because right, there's the uncanny Avengers too. And like that's some excuse as to, you know, well, I think we all assumed that Uncanny Avengers was called Uncanny Avengers because it was a mix of Avengers and Uncanny X-Men that came out of the whole A versus X stuff. So that made sense for that have that name, because we all could recognize, as those of us Marvel fans, recognize it as being a grouping of those two. Whereas, I don't know about this Uncanny Inhumans. Does that mean it's going to be X-Men and Humans together? I don't know. Sorry for the yawning. Long week. So that'll be curious. I'm curious about that. Don't know. And of course, there's all these superhero books, and I get a lot of superhero books. Though I've been picking up a lot more other independent type work and whatnot. Today was also the Image Expo. Their big annual Image Expo. They do a smaller one. It seems right before San Diego Comic-Con to try and take the steam, it always feels to me like, out of San Diego Comic-Con. But this is their big one. And they did a release of basically talking about the new books they're going to be releasing in 2015, which I'm super excited about. You know, and it has less to do with the fact that it's Image per se, just that there's these great books that are coming out by what feels like top-tier talent. And we're seeing a lot of the people we love that worked at DC and worked at Marvel are now putting out books under Image. You know, creator-owned stuff, which is exciting. It's exciting to see these creators excited about creating something that they have ownership and control over versus corporate comics where they're putting out a product for, you know, a bunch of editors and a corporation. Not that they both can't be great comics and have interesting things in them and whatnot, but it does feel more and more like in corporate comics, there's less story being told and more water just being tread, no adventure, no risk, no exploration of any sort. And so I am excited by this announcement that's coming out for a whole bunch more stuff from Image, just because it's a whole bunch of more new stuff to look at. Stuff where creators are taking their time to try and do their own thing, make their own statement, make their own whatever they're wanting. Entertainment or you know, to be thought-provoking, and all the things that are amazing about somebody who, artists who I think believe in what they're doing, as opposed to creating a product that there's a level of art back in it that maybe isn't in the big two stuff. Not that I'm, like I said, not that I'm not here knocking the big two. I love my superhero comics. But this may be the year that the superhero comics in my poll really do shrink, really become less than half of what I'm reading, solely based on the fact that I've read, maybe because I've read so much superhero stuff, or just the sense I'm getting currently from a lot of the corporate comics, that they're not letting the creators tell an interesting story per se. It's everything is played relatively safe, and isn't exploring anything, and isn't making some sort of a statement, which is one of the things I really love about comic books in a lot of ways. I still have my superhero comics, so I'll still be collecting some superhero comics, but as these other titles get released, I don't have infinite funds. I wish I did, otherwise I would just pretty much buy about everything. But because I don't have infinite funds, at some point I'm going to reach a tipping point of I can't just order more books without removing something else. Well, I'm enjoying a lot of the other independent stuff that I'm currently reading. So I'm not going to sacrifice other independent books to pick up new independent books. It may be some of the big two that I sacrifice. I read a half a dozen Batman-esque type titles that may shrink. With the announcement of these new books, that gets me excited about new books, and some of them are ongoing and stuff, and not just miniseries. I'm even more or less inclined when the new year rolls around and we roll into more new comics, like when Batman Eternal, for instance, is done. There's got to be something really special now about the next run of Batman Eternal for me to jump back on that book, a weekly book, because that weekly commitment, there's a lot of other books I can buy for that weekly commitment. Some of that sort of stuff, start pondering some of that stuff more. It seems that also at the Image Expo, there's been a commitment to the smaller price point, which of course is exciting for all of us consumers. Not sure what that means for the creators, what kind of money they're pulling out of the whole thing. There's been some interesting discussion on Twitter amongst some of us about, why wouldn't everybody just go to Image? Why do some people still use Vertigo? Why do some people use Boom Studios or Dark Horse or Oni Press or Legend or all the other imprints that are out there? I wish we had more information about how those contracts work and stuff, so we knew what those reasonings were. I would love to have more discussion around that stuff, because it's fascinating. It's part of the machine that I find interesting. Not that it really has to do with my comics, but in a way it does. It has to do with some aspects of the comic, just not the storytelling, essential art part of it. So, that being said, I'm sitting in a weird place. I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm going to read over the stuff that was announced that's coming out in 2015. Bear in mind, with all of these Image announcements that sound all awesome and exciting, who knows when they'll see the light of day. Some of the stuff that's announced right now was actually announced last year or prior year, and now it's actually finally coming out. Most of this stuff, some of the stuff that's coming out here, was announced 8 months ago. Some of the stuff that's being announced here, they've clearly said it's not going to come out until September. That's 9 months. So this stuff being announced, it's not like next week we're going to suddenly see all these new books that are being talked about. Who knows what stages they're even in as far as releases go and whatnot. But there are some names that I have not seen dip their toes into the creator-owned world that I'm very excited to see them finally dip their toes into those creative worlds. And I hope they can do amazing things, and I hope they're extremely successful, and I hope we see more stuff by them, because they're just amazing talents, and I'm excited to see what they might do when kind of the sky's the limit and they can just explore whatever it is that they want to explore. Super excited by that. So let's jump right into those titles. I'll try to tell you about them if I know anything about them. Some of them, they were released and we didn't get a whole lot of information to know what the story is really going to be about. Not that never stops me, because in the case of lots of these image books, I'm excited by the creator that's attached to them. The name and necessarily what it's about, it doesn't matter at this point. As we get closer to the reality of these being books, I want to explore and look at them closer to see whether or not it's something I'm truly, truly interested in or not. But yeah, so we'll jump right into these books. I'll apologize right offhand. I'm horrible at pronouncing people's names, unless you tell me what the name is or I hear somebody else say it. I'm really horrible at it. So we're going to kind of go along, and I'll butcher all these people's names, and people can laugh at me and say you're horrible and whatever down in the comments, right? So in no particular order. Right now I'm looking at a list that's on Comic Book Resources page. It's a, vote for which title of these new releases they're supposedly in 2015 are you most excited for. So I'm just looking at that list because that's the easiest place to just run down the list. And I'm also, I think I'm looking at like Comic Alliance to give me clues as to what some of the stuff is that I don't remember offhand, or I don't want to misinform. But clearly, the internet's out there. You all have Google. You all can explore all this stuff as much as you want to also look up some of these creators, what they've done, because some of these people I have no idea who they are. I don't know what their body of work is beyond this. But yeah, let's talk books now. I got other stuff I could talk about that I'm really curious about this whole Image Expo, because of course they talk business too, and there's some interesting stuff there, but we'll see if we get to that. Anyway, books. First one is Monstrous by Marjorie Liu, Liu, and Sana Takeda. I don't know. I do not know that artist. I know Marjorie used to work for Marvel quite a bit. She wrote some X-Men books. I believe she got tricked into writing the marriage of North Star and his groom. The first gay marriage, superhero comic books thing. I'm excited for that book, Monstrous. I believe that Monstrous is the one, I'm going to see if I can scroll over here and find it, that is set in... she also wrote, Marjorie also wrote X-23, which I know a lot of people really like that. Monstrous is set in an alternate history 1920s, centering on a young refugee who discovers she has psychic connection to the horrific monsters who've laid waste to Earth. So, excited by that. The cover I've seen for it looks pretty awesome. If that's the interior art, super excited for that. So yeah, I think that's an ongoing. But anyway, so clearly excited about that. That's 2 female creators in one book. If we're looking at the diversity end of this thing, getting some other voices out there, exploring what those voices have to say. If that's a concern, which always seems to be, it's interesting. There's No Mercy, which is a book by Alex D. Kemp and Carla Speed McNeil. I believe that is a book that is a school bus full of it is a let's see, depicts a vapid American overachievers on a mission to South America. They're ostensibly part of a university service outreach program, but in reality, because it makes their college applications look much better, is the real reason doing it. That's what it is. So people who exist in real life type thing. Let's see, they're there in South Africa. They go on a 10-hour bus trip to build some schools and basically that sort of thing. And something horribly wrong happens on their trip. That'll be interesting. Curious to see what that is. That's 2 more female creators on a book, so I'll be curious to check that out just to see what it is. There's the Ludocrats by Kieran Gillen and David Lafontaine. I didn't hear a really good description of what it is about. Let me see if I can find it here right offhand. I'll probably check this out too. It's one of the ones I probably want a little more information on to be 100% sure on it. It's a collaborative series described as fantastical adventures beyond time, space, and mortal comprehension. There's a Wired magazine interview with them about the thing. It looks like it might be fun. It's sometime in the summer of 2015 is when it looks like that's going to be coming out. There is AD, After Death, by Scott Snyder and Jeff Lemire. Talk about two heavyweights putting their name on a book. The thing I like about this book most of all, it is an OGN. It is literally going to be a graphic novel. It's all one thing all put out at once. Excited by that. I'd love to actually see more of that. I'd be willing to put more of my money behind one big thick piece of work that was all meant to be read and consumed at one time, as opposed to something that's been serialized to trades. Not that I don't like monthly comics, I love monthly comics, I love serialization, but sometimes it'd be nice just to really actually have the graphic novel as opposed to a trade. Other notable things about this work, it's the first time Jeff Lemire will be doing a work of another writer that he hasn't written himself when he's the person doing the artwork. He's always been the person who has written it. So, cool about that. I'm assuming that's going to be a very collaborative thing between those two. My understanding is that After Death marks a time when humanity has figured out how to completely arrest death, so there is no death anymore. So that's an intriguing thought. Another book that, of course, I will for sure be picking up is We Stand Guard by Saga, Runaway, and a bunch of other stuff. Brian K. Vaughan, and art by Steve Skrois, which I don't know Steve Skrois' work. I'm going to have to look that up. I haven't gotten around to that yet. But that is going to be, it's set 100 years in the future, and some Canadian freedom fighters are fighting off the invasion by the United States, and the United States are using giant robots to attack Canada. So we got to get that one right, and hopefully some of my Canadian friends will pick the book up also, and we'll have a good laugh as we battle it out to us Americans attempt to take over Canada. About time, right? Anyway, so that should be fun. Excited because it's a Brian K. Vaughan book. That makes it great, I think, for that. I don't think that's an ongoing. I think that's actually going to be a mini. Next we have The Son of a Devil by Brian Bucciarello and Tony Infante. This was actually originally a Kickstarter that now has been moved over to Image Comics, basically kind of like Five Ghosts. The Five Ghosts of Fabian Gray, of course, was originally a Kickstarter, got enough energy behind it, got enough money that then they can invest in it through Image Comics. Haven't looked into that a whole bunch. I'm not 100% sure what that's about. That's one of the ones that's lower on my list of things that I'm interested in. There's also Heaven by James Robinson and Philip Tan. Not sure on that one. That was described as humanity decides to wage war against God. The only art I've seen for it is some armored up angels, armored up people with wings. Not sure on that one. Had some rough times recently with James Robinson's work, but that might be good. That might be cool. That might be the thing that'd be really interested in. One of the people who's basically, putting their foot for the first time into the creator-owned world is I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. Great-looking cover if you like Scotty Young's artwork. I'm sure this is going to be a fun thing. It's got the cover art that I've seen for it. It's got a little girl with a big giant broad axe, and she's pretty much chopped up most of what would be you consider fairyland. So yeah, so that's gonna be, I think, will be a fun book. Also, the book that's the top of my list of things that I'm most excited about coming out of this, I think, probably is a book called Paper Girls, and it is by Brian K. Vaughan. Once again, it's the second book, so I'll be 3 books from Image that he'll be having out, because I'm assuming Saga's not going anywhere. And art by Cliff Chiang. Cliff Chiang has not done any creator-owned work before. This is his first step into it. I'm super excited about this book. It's a story about 4 paper girls who deliver newspapers, and something incredible happens to them the day after Halloween. And I'm super excited to see Cliff Chiang be able to just go to town on something. Very excited about that, and I think that clearly Brian K. Vaughan is an incredibly strong writer, has incredible dialogue, and that I just can't see how it's not going to be amazing. If there's any part of you that thinks that book might sound good, get it. Get it, because it could have the same boom that Saga had. And I'm saying that only because my gut feeling about this is the same level of excitement as the first time, before people were really talking a whole lot about it, when Saga was first announced way back at an Image Expo all those years ago. And the second I heard that those 2 creators were doing a book together, a creator product, I was super excited. It didn't matter what it was actually going to be about. I just knew it was going to be extremely big, and I think that this will be an extremely big book too. So whenever this book comes out a year from now, you can actually look back and go, oh, Travis is right, or Travis is a fool. But don't speculate on it. Don't think you're going to make a big buck on it. I'm just saying that so you get those first issues, so you're not 2 months in going, damn, I should have picked that book up, and then you're suffering the eBay blast of a $50 #1 issue trying to pick it up afterwards. There's a book called Tatamania by Emily Lennox. Emily Lennox is new to me, another female creator. This is once again, it's a OGN. It's kind of a travel log of her experience in Japan. She's also going to be working on another book that I'll talk about in a few minutes. Probably more interested in that than in this. I haven't been really excited by most of the kind of bio books that are more biographical. So I haven't been so interested in those. But who knows? As it gets closer, I might be more interested in that. Black Road by Brian Wood and Gary Brown. Of course, most people know Brian Wood from things from local Northlanders. The Massive is the latest thing that he's just getting off of. Gary Brown is currently the artist on Catwoman, so clearly there's going to be a change in art duties on Catwoman coming up at some point. Gary Brown has also worked with, I believe, Brian Wood on The Massive at one point or another there also. So there's that. Black Road is a Viking story. It's going to be an ongoing Viking story. And if you're a huge fan of Northlanders, that probably gets you pretty excited. It gets me excited. I was kind of thinking I wasn't going to be picking up Brian Wood books anymore. I'm probably going to pick up Black Road just because of that. This book, he says, isn't as historically accurate as what Northlanders was. Really, most of it is historically accurate, except for this Black Road that supposedly runs the length of the land, and there's all this crime and chaos that goes on there. One of the other things that's a little less accurate is the church's influence over these places, and there's some other thing that he won't say that is inaccurate because that would spoil the story. So more than likely getting that. I think that's going to be a pretty rich looking book between Brown's art and Brian seems to nail the Scandinavian Viking-esque type thing, which is totally crazy to me because before Northlanders, I had no interest whatsoever in Vikings, and now freaking Vikings are cool, right? Next up is Plutona, and that is by Jeff Lemire. M.E. Lennox again, and Jody Belair doing colors on it. It is a 4-issue miniseries about a group of kids who find the dead body of a super famous superhero. So basically it's Stand By Me, and the body they found is the equivalent of like Superman. That sounds cool to me. That just sounds like there could be all kinds of who knows what kind of story be told there. So excited by that. I'll probably be definitely picking that up. Another book that's coming out is Savior by Todd McFarlane, Brian Holgram, and Clayton Crane. Not exactly sure what about Savior is about, and I didn't get a chance to really check it out and look it up. So apologize for that. Let me look here, see if I have something that tells me right offhand what that is. Oh, let's see. As I scroll through all the other stuff I have talked about or haven't talked about yet. Let's see, so it's kind of being pitched as a Savior is a excuse me, it's some sort of a Messiah fable set in the modern world. They've already supposedly got 8 issues in the can, so that's a good start. I don't know. So basically written by McFarlane and Brian Holden, and the art by Clayton Crane, who is a former artist on Carnage and X-Force. Let's see. Capatara, which is a Chip Zdarsky and Kagan McLeod book. Chip Zdarsky, you might know, he is the artist on Sex Criminals. He is writing this book. I know jokingly at the Expo, Image Expo, he jokingly referred to this as the gay saga. I'm not sure exactly how we should be taking that. I have seen at least the cover art for it, and I love the caption that goes along with the cover art. Not exactly sure how serious I'm supposed to take a Chip Zdarsky book. He's kind of a wild character, but that kind of also intrigues me to want to take a look at it because of that. I'm trying to get here so I can see the cover so I can tell you what the actual tagline on the cover was. Let's see. So yeah, the cover's got some giant spaceship, a guy flying in space, floating around in space. Bits and pieces look like it's coming off the spaceship, like it's got some sort of a problem. There's like a world that has, instead of having the kind of halo around it that like Saturn has, the halo looks almost like it's a maze of sorts. And the tagline is Capatara Space, why you gotta be like that? And I don't know, part of me just thinks that's kind of, funny. So yeah, curious to see more about that. Probably be checking that one out. Another huge one here is Revengeance by Darwin Cook. Darwin Cook is going to do his own creator-owned work for Image. That's another huge one for me. I can't imagine not picking that up. I'm assuming this is going to be some sort of crime noir. Let's see. His first original long-form story. The book was described as 3-part noir tale set in the 1980s in Cook's hometown of Toronto. So yeah, pretty excited by that. So that makes that sound like that maybe it's going to be a... they're saying long-form story. I'm assuming that means that maybe it's going to be... Oh, three-part miniseries. Three-part miniseries in the spring of 2015. So, super excited by that. See what he'll do. Just kind of, you know, sky's the limit kind of a thing. Another book coming out will be Starve by Brian Wood. Daniel Giselle, which I kill his name, and art and colors by Dave Stewart. Giselle has done lots of fill-in work. Stuff I'm familiar with him is he did a few issues of The Massive. He's done a few issues of Northlanders. Super heavy, dark, somewhat almost abstract inking. He's also did some issues of Desolation Jones way back. For those people who are familiar with Desolation Jones, if you aren't, you should pick it up. It's a Warren Ellis book. I don't know. I'm probably going to pick it up too. The cover of it looks absolutely awesome. I don't know. Maybe I should have done this as a hangout so I could have shown covers, huh? Or the artwork that they've shown. Anyway, like I said, you can look it up. Trying to find it here amongst my pile of stuff. But yeah, Starve, it looks great. You know, some guy licking a butcher knife on the cover, so that's going to be exciting. Talking about all the stuff that he's worked on. Let's see here. Story centers on a terrible celebrity chef in a world of crippling poverty. So Gordon Ramsay in a world of infinite poverty is what it sounds like. So it sounds like it could be nuts. Just strange enough, just interesting enough, just enough off the beaten path that I will probably have to pick it up. Run, Love, Kill is the title of the next book, and how it's written out is it's written out all as one word by Eric Cantane and Jonathan Tusi, killing that last name, T-S-U-E-I. Eric, you'll know him from The Goon, probably. That's where I know him from. That sounds like it's going to be a fun book. And also Island by Brandon Graham, Emma Reyes, and more. Island is basically going to be Brandon Graham, who you might know him from The Prophet, or you might know him from Multiple Warheads, or Cat Kings, is that what it's called? King Cat? Something like that. He's selling this basically as it's a comic book magazine. It is basically heavy metal, not geared towards 13-year-old boys. So that sounds super exciting because it's going to have a cycle of different people in it. You'll get like 4 different stories, kind of an anthology type work, perhaps possibly type thing. Super excited about that. So those are the new 2015 books. Of course, they also talked about some other books that were announced this last year at like San Diego Comic-Con and whatnot that are coming out very, very soon. The Warren Ellis book will be coming out. Let's see, what was it called? Should have had this more organized. Or I should be dancing while I'm talking about this stuff. So, the Warren Ellis book, Warren Ellis, Shelby and Belair, Injection. There's actually some pages for that floating around out there if you want to take a look at the art, the story. Certainly we'll be picking that up. Super excited about that. Let's see, what else? I talked about Island, Run, Love, Kill. I know there was some others. 8 House. 8 House is another Brandon Graham project that was announced. Either it was announced at the last San Diego, right before San Diego Comic-Con, or it was announced last year at the last Expo. It is basically going to be a round table, round robin of fantasy stories. It's all set in a universe, but different creators will go beyond the book for like 4 issues or whatever, and then you'll get another group of creators on the book for another 4 issues, in this kind of housed reality called 8 House by Brandon Graham. The first one is called Arclight. A series of mini-series. The first 8 House fantasy stories will be drawn by Marina Churchill and Emma Reyes. Reyes' story is called Mirror and takes place in a community of hybrid humans and animals. So I think it's basically Brandon Graham writing it and different artists interpreting what he's written. The art for it looks freaking awesome. Also was announced Pretty Deadly Volume 2 is coming. Super excited about that. The thing that makes this one so much different, same creators on the book, still going to have Kelly Sue DeConnick writing it. It's going to have Emma Reyes doing the art on it, Jody Valeri doing the colors. Now it is set during World War I, whereas the last one was clearly set in the 1860s, something like that, the Wild West. This one's set during World War I. I did read some other tweets from Kelly Sue DeConnick about this. She said she was talking like 3 or 4 arcs in, just all different kinds of stuff. Sounds super exciting. Heck, for me, anytime I get to see Reyes' art, regardless of what you might have thought of the first volume of Pretty Deadly, which I enjoyed. I liked the folktale story aspect of it, so I'm pretty excited by that. That's going to be great, I think. Let's see. News about The Wicked and Divine. Of course, The Wicked and Divine, and kind of 2 years ago, Kieran Gillian and Jamie McKelvey said, hey, we're going to do the 3rd volume of Phonogram. And those of us who are longtime fans of these two creators, super excited about that, because the first 2 volumes were just awesome. And then things happened, and they had some different life experiences and whatnot, and suddenly we ended up with The Wicked and the Divine instead of that Phonogram. And I figured, well, Phonogram's just gone. That they're currently working on this. Well, they announced that the 3rd volume of Phonogram is going to come out, called The Immaterial Girl. Super excited about that. How they're going to make that work is while the artist McKelvey is working on doing that, because that is their thing. While he's doing that, there will be guest artists on The Wicked and Divine, and the stories will focus on individual issues, will focus on individual gods within the pantheon. And each of those gods within the pantheon, they'll have a guest artist doing the artwork on it. Some of the lineup of some of the guest artists that they talk about were pretty damn amazing. I'm trying to think if I can. Tula Latoy, Kate Brown, Stephanie Hands, those are all just amazing artists. Super excited to see them do issues of Wicked and Divine. I mean, if you're gonna suddenly have a creator on work, you're gonna suddenly have other people pop in on the book to do some work. I think this is a smart way of doing it. I am interested in the pantheon and each of those characters individually within that, so I don't feel disrupted in the story, because it's just going to enrich the entire environment that's there. So super excited about the Wicked and Divine, how that's going to go forward. Even more excited for August 2015, because that's when we will see the final volume of Phonogram, Immaterial Girl. Super stoked about that. And I'm going to say that is it as far as the stuff that came out at the Image Expo that I've heard of so far, that I'm excited about. So yeah, most of those books I'm going to pick up. I'm going to at least get to try almost every single one of them. Some of them may end up being duds. I've pretty much tried a lot of the other stuff that's been heavily announced out of these Image Expos. Lots of them have been absolutely fabulous. And there's been some that have been, that I'm debating on dropping now or whatever. So, really cool. I'll save the other business end of the stuff that came out of the Image Expo for another time, because I already have a feeling this video is probably way too long, and I'm not sure how many of you people are sitting around just watching me talk and stare at a computer. So that'll be for another time, but exciting news for Image as far as it being its own little independent comic and how big of a foothold it's getting in the world of comics. So yeah, exciting news for them. You know, I don't know that I buy into that they are the fascism, that they are the, you know, the cutting edge per se. I think there's some amazing stuff coming out by a lot of other small independent companies that are out there. It's just clearly right now there is a lot of media behind as far as comics go. There's a lot of media behind Image, so it's a pretty great place to float a book now, it seems like. But yeah, awesome stuff. Looks like 2015 is looking pretty excited as far as the Image line of stuff goes. So yeah, what do you think of these? There's anyone in particular you're super excited about? Did I talk about something you want to know more about that maybe I know more about? Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you Friday. That would be January 9th, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern Time. You know, you people who normally watch the show, hit me up. Let's talk some comics tomorrow on the Comic Book Roundtable. Have a good one, everybody.